going to choose G. Number 5 says, what is the correct way to write sentences 12 and 13? Sentences 12 and 13. Okay, 12 and 13 say, this scary roller coaster. That's missing something. I know that this scary roller coaster. What about this scary roller coaster? Okay, who or what is this sentence about? The scary roller coaster. Okay, this is the subject of my sentence. Does it have a predicate? Is it letting us know what the subject is doing? It's not. It does not. So it does not have a predicate. It's missing part. So this is a fragment. It's incomplete because it's missing part of the sentence. 13 says, with large hills and multiple twists and turns. With large hills and multiple twists and turns. Okay, what are we talking about here? Does it tell us in the sentence? No. Okay, so this is the what the subject is doing part, and this is the subject part. These are both fragments. If I have two fragments, I can just take this period away. Let's see if it makes sense if I just take this period out. Notice that I'm doing all of this before I look at my answer choices. Okay, let's take the period out and see if it makes sense. This scary roller coaster with large hills and multiple twists and turns. Does that make sense? Doesn't to me. Let's see how they might combine these two sentences, or these two fragments, to make a sentence. A says, this scary roller coaster with large hills. What about the scary roller coaster with large hills? This is only adding to my subject. This isn't telling me what my subject is doing. And then they say, and multiple twists and turns. This is also a fragment. If you have fragments in your answer choices or incomplete thoughts, those are not going to be your answer choice because they're not written correctly. You're not going to choose something that's written incorrectly. B says, this scary roller coaster with large hills and multiple twists and turns. Okay, so what they did is they replaced the period with a comma. Okay, let's look at C. This scary roller coaster with large hills and multiple twists and turns. Okay, and then D, they just took the period out. D says, this scary roller coaster had large hills and multiple twists and turns. What is the difference between C and D? C, remember we had the period right here. What did they do? They changed the verb. Okay? This is not a verb. Okay? This is a verb. We have to have a verb at the start of our predicate. Okay, to let us know, okay, this is the part that's going to tell us what the subject is doing. So on this side is the subject, and on this side is the predicate. And we're starting out with a verb, a linking verb, because it's describing the roller coaster. The scary roller coaster had large hills and multiple twists and turns. This sentence makes sense. This one does not. This word right here does not make sense in this if we just take the period out. The scary roller coaster with large hills and multiple twists and turns. Do you see how I did not mark these out? Because I was not sure, right? So if you're not sure if it's an answer choice or not, and you're just noticing something about it, and you can't draw a conclusion from it, don't mark it out. Look at them and compare them before you start marking things out, okay? I wouldn't just put a comma here because still this word doesn't make sense in the sentence. This is still a fragment. It's an incomplete thought because it doesn't have a verb in there. Okay, C, same thing, just without the period. This is a fragment. Doesn't have a verb. D does have a verb. Had is a verb. Okay, D is my answer choice. All right, number 6. What change, if any, should be made in sentence 5? F says change finally to finally. Change finally to finally. Okay, let's go back and find sentence 15. I'm going to quicken my pace here because Gotta get going. Let's see. Sentence 15 says, finally, it was my turn to go. Finally, it was my turn to go. I already know what the answer choice is going to be because I see the mistake in the sentence. So this is going to be easier for me. Okay? If you see it, it should make it easier for you too. That's why we're reading our sentence first. Okay, the first answer choice says change finally to finally. Oops. Let me see how they spelled it. F-I-N-E-L-Y. F-I-N-E-L-Y. Finally. Okay? If you look these up in the dictionary, this one means to cut something into small pieces, to finely chop something. Okay? And then this one is finally, or the end. Okay? Finally, it was my turn to go. This is the correct way to say finally. This is correct. This is not. You can use a dictionary to look it up, guys. You can use Google to look it up if you're at home. G says change to 2. Okay? I saw this mistake in the sentence already. This is not the correct to. This is the number word to. It wants us to change it to the directional word to. Finally, it was my turn to go. This is the correct to. This is a homophone, guys. So on cups, this would be usage. Homophones are usage. Did they use the correct to? No, they didn't. This is the number to. This is the direction to. This one would be correct. This one's not. So this is my answer choice, but let's go ahead and check H. H says change was to were. Change was to were. Okay, here's was. Let's change it to were and read it and see if it makes sense. Finally, it were my turn to go. That doesn't make sense. You would say, finally, it was my turn to go. It was already correct, so we're not going to change it. And we know that we need to change this homophone. Okay. Let's look at number 7. What change, if any, should be made in sentence 17? Sentence 17 says, as I unstrapped my seatbelt and stood up on my 2 foot, I noticed that my knees were shaking and my heart was racing. I already heard it. Did you? If you're reading these before you look at your answer choices, sometimes they just jump right out and bite you. Would you say my 2 foot? I wouldn't. I would say my 2 feet. Feet is the plural of foot. More than one. And look, the very first answer choice says change foots to feet. Change foots to feet. This is the answer choice that we want to choose, but we need to check the other ones because this is wrong. This is correct, but let's check the other ones. B says change unstrapped to unstrapped. Okay, I'm going to do, let's see, unstrapped to unstrapped. Okay, let's look at this right here. This is that spelling rule. Can E hop over or reach over these 2 consonant P's to poke A and make him say A? No. We want him to say ah. We don't want E to be able to reach over here and poke him and make him say A. This is strapped. Strapped. Okay? This one, E can reach over P and poke that A, make A say A. This is that sneaky silent E rule. Okay? So this would be unstraped. Unstraped. That's not even a word. Okay, this is spelled correctly. This would be on cups. This would be spelling. This one would be usage because we're changing it to a completely different word. Okay, we're changing it from foots to feet because we know that this is the correct way to say more than 1 foot. So this one wouldn't be it. C says change was to were. Change was to were. Okay, here's the word was. Let's put were. As I unstrapped my seatbelt and stood up on my 2 foots, I noticed that my knees were shaking and my heart were racing. My heart was racing, not were racing. Okay, so that one won't be it, and we know we need to change that. So A is my answer choice.